What's up, everybody, and welcome to this week's Top 3. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of the shiniest new decks on the market. But before we jump into it, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
And please ring the bell. And Tyler, just to let you know, this is a Shimmer Showdown.
This is the Shimmah Showdown. No question about it, man. I am excited for this episode. We have some of the most highly anticipated decks of the year getting fulfilled and getting in our hands here. So we are so excited to check these things out. We hope you guys are excited for it too.
Hit us with number 3, dude.
All right, so number 3 this week is the Solid deck from Lotus in Hand. This deck is part of a 1001 deck print run printed by Dex Playing Cards and retails for $20. And This is a good kickoff to the Shimmah. Let's check this thing out. As you can see on the tuck, you have a very matte black tuck there with a nice little holographic foil, giving you a bit of a sneak peek into the deck itself. Very, very minimalist design to it, which I absolutely love. I think they did a really good job maintaining that minimalist cardistry kind of esque vibe that a lot of these decks go for. And then we just jump right into it, man. This thing is just shiny. I can tell your camera is struggling.
Yeah.
It's overwhelmed by the Shimmah, which I think is awesome. And you can see this is actually a really nicely done foil here. I think it's got a great kind of crosshatch pattern to it, which I love that that comes through from the air cushioning on the deck. Printed by Dex, this handles great. We've seen Fontaine and Lotus in Hand use those in the past, and we've really seen a lot of good feedback on Dex's printing quality. With that in mind, it is a relatively standard deck other than some, I don't want to say recoloring of the quartz, removal of coloring of the quartz in this case, but it actually really is kind of an interesting contrast to the holographic foil that you have on the back. You have this super bright and vibrant back design with these super mellow and monochromatic fronts, which I think is kind of cool. Obviously, for the red quartz to differentiate, they do leave the red pips there, which is a blessing because it does make this actually a playable deck at that point. Though I think most times if you played with this, people would be talking more about the back design itself than the game you're playing. And then I love these little matching jokers that they have here with the prism shooting light out of it. Very cool, kind of mad scientist, which is really an interesting kind of style. But dude, that Shimmah is just spectacular.
Yeah, it looks great. I mean, I was a little bummed out with the front of the cards just being so minus of color, you know, because I understand the contrast, but it would have been really cool to see a little bit more color on the front.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a big opportunity to kind of play up the prismic angle even more with that front design, where you could have actually done some cool prismic colors in the quartz that would have made them pop a little bit more. But still, for number 3 of the week, this thing surely comes in highly placed in the Shimmah Showdown. And I really was impressed with the handling of the Dex playing cards. Every time I get a deck printed by Dex, I'm always nervous, and I don't know why, because anytime that a company like Lotus in Hand or Fontaine is relying on these decks for printing, you know it's going to be a pretty solid company. Granted, Fontaine has switched back to USPCC for the majority of their decks at this point, but for the ones they used, people really loved the quality of the stock, and I think the fact that Lotus in Hand goes with them regularly shows how good it really is.
Yeah, Dex Playing Cards definitely has a good reputation now. Lotus in Hand using them all the time and getting a good response, you know, from their consumers is good.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So why don't you let us know what number 2 is this week, Steve?
Number 2 is the Luxury Knock Playing Cards by Alex Pandrea and Riffle Shuffle. It is printed by Cardamundi on their Slimline B9 stock. It is a print run of $2,500 and retails for $25.
Nice, man. Honestly, I'm loving the Shimmah in this episode so far. Let's check this thing out.
Now, this tuck box is beautiful. This is a tuck box that was designed by Wittick. Definitely a well-known designer that's designed for Kevin Yu and Riffle Shuffle before. It is definitely luxurious. You have inside holographic foil, and the detail is just so beautiful. Here's the back design, and it's very similar to the Solid. You know, you do have that crosshatch pattern, but you have an outside border as well, which I thought definitely, you know, spiced it up a little bit. And, you know, when fanned, you can kind of see that it has a little bit of break in the pattern, which I enjoy a lot.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I did notice, comparing this back design with the solid, this one actually shimmers a little less. The colors don't come through as well. There's your duplicate jokers. And one of the biggest reasons why this came in at number 2 is because the face cards also have holographic foil on it. I think they did an amazing job
So good.
at pulling out that color and using the color of the holographic foil, to give whatever color you see in specific directions that you turn the card in. They also removed the red coloring from the red suits and gave that holographic foil as well. And I thought that was such a cool addition to the deck.
The one thing I do have to say, though, with the removal of the red colors there, is it does create somewhat of a playability issue. If you're using like a black felt tabletop and you're getting that reflection, it removes that ability to quickly see what your cards are, which I know in poker does become a concern. But again, Pandrea being a magician, these really are made for that visual appeal more so than anything.
Yeah, I mean, they're so beautiful, and I'm really glad they took that holographic from the back and brought it to the face cards as well. It definitely stepped it up for me.
Without a doubt. I do see what you mean, though, too, about the little bit of a lack of luster there with the use of the Cardamundi foil versus that from Dex, which is kind of surprising. It seems like the Dex foil was a little bit more reflective for sure.
Yeah, it definitely is, and I think Cardamundi is definitely known for that cross hatch really shining through and breaking up the color a little bit when you do get the cold foil. It still looks beautiful, obviously, and you do have a little bit of a different fan, but it definitely does. I mean, I don't want to say it's dull because it's shimmer all the way, but it definitely is a little more dull than the solid.
All things considered, too, dude, I think the winner for me on this one is the tuck box itself. That tuck box from Wittek is just beautiful. The amount of detail and the embossing and the stylization just really makes it. I think if you had taken a minimalist tuck with the knock as well, it probably still would have come in second, but it would have been a much closer, battle between knocks and the solid.
Yeah, and it's interesting, just, the tuck of the knock is really thin.
Yeah.
So the tuck flaps kind of get stuck when you open it. So, that's kind of a little bit of a downfall. I was expecting it to be a little thicker and a little bit more sturdy, but, minus that, it's
nice. Very nice, man. And coming in at number 1 this week, we have the Tempo Lab Plus playing cards from Arc Playing Cards. This deck is part of a 2,500 print run, printed by an unknown printer on unknown stock and retails for $50. It's actually part of a set that comes with a UV flashlight to kind of show off some of the UV aspects of it, but beautifully cold foiled. So let's check this thing out.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to go from such a minimalist tuck design on the solid and come to this here. You could actually see a little bit of a glint of a contrasting band of color on the white X there for the Tempo series here. And one of the cool things about this tuck is not only does it have the big X that you have on the back design and the holographic foil, but supposedly if you put this out in the light, those little bands across the white sections of the tuck will actually change color, which is really cool. We haven't seen that in person yet, but that's sounds amazing. I love all of the thought that Arc Playing Cards really puts into this, and obviously you can see how dope that tuck opened as well.
Oh, so crazy.
Getting into the back design here, it matches what you saw on the tuck box with these purple stripes, and you can just see that purple foil already starting to pop. Now, being an unknown printer on unknown stock, we were a little concerned about handling on this, but surprisingly it handles and fans really well, though the stock itself is a little stiffer than what we would consider a traditionally crushed stock, so it may be, this printer's more standard stock than anything. We have the Tempo Lab foil ad card here, which really shows off that purple shimmer of the foil. A second ad card, and one of the things that really stands out to me here is actually the different pattern of embossing of the card itself.
Yep.
You have the contrasting jokers here, one primarily with the black, one primarily with the white. And again, one of the coolest things to me about these cold foil cards is the fact that the patterning on the paper comes through so strong.
Yeah, I mean, that purple color is really, really solid.
Yeah, no, it really is. And as you can see on the court cards here, they've gone for the minimalist route for the most part, replacing A on the red suits, the traditionally red color, with white to really provide more of a contrast. But you also notice on the courts that they had pulled pretty much all of the color other than the black outlining and some spattering of white here and there to make it pop a little bit more. The other cool thing about this deck, and you can see it every time Steve goes to spread the cards a little bit there, these double fanning elements on the front are just awesome. They did such a great job making this a visually appealing deck, not just based on the stock, but based on the fanning elements and the colors and the contrast. Purple, black, and white pop so cleanly that this thing is going to look great in motion. Not only is that foil going to be really eye-catching and catch the light in interesting ways, but the fanning elements on the front end bring so much more motion into movement around cardistry on this. Really dope ace of spades there. And one of the interesting things about this deck as well is it was actually printed and boxed in reverse order. So usually you get your ace of spades first, but in this one it actually was the hearts that came first. So reverse order there, which fine with that. It's actually interesting too, because sometimes that itself becomes indicative of the printer. And absolutely love that front-facing fan there. It just looks so good. Both sides look great, but I think the front fan is actually my favorite on this one.
Yeah, I love it. You know, and this definitely is a cardistry deck. It's beautiful. That tuck box is so unique, and I think they just crushed it.
They really did, and it's interesting because Arc Playing Cards really has a capability of combining cardistry and collecting cards, or magic and collecting cards. They really know how to hit on both of those topics there really well. So in this case, you know, they really went for that cardistry and collector side of it. So you have the collector appeal of the box set and the holographic and the foil cards, but at the same time, they still touch on the cardistry aspect with the forward-facing fanning elements. The foil itself is actually really great visually, but it doesn't impact negatively the handling. So this is a great cardistry deck. It also just looks cool on your shelf, man.
Yeah, no, 100%. I enjoyed having it.
I'm sure, man. Honestly, I love to see what Arc Playing Cards has been coming out with recently, but I have to say, this was an interesting Shimmer-filled week, and congratulations to Scary Magic for winning this week's comment shout-out. Make sure to leave a comment down below and let us know which of these decks this week was your favorite, or which deck you're planning on using for your everyday carry this week. You could be picked for next week's comment shout-out. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in to this week's Top 3. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Peace.